check. Hello everybody, and welcome to a pre-stream talk about something I wanted to dedicate this video, as well as the next video for the game that I'm about to do a final video on, which is Valkyria Chronicles. However, this video, I wanted to talk about something I discovered a little bit last minute last night, which was a victim named Iryna Zarutska. And if any of you are not aware, or if you are aware of who Iryna Zarutska is, she was a refugee from Ukraine during the war, and she fled over to the United States, and it was only around late August that her life had ended because of a very unprovoked stabbing on a tram. And I will show you who Iryna Zarutska is, in case we'll take a moment just to kind of look at who she was, and then talk about some of the things about a different perspective that a lot of you probably, are seeing a lot of opinions out there that are pointing fingers, or perhaps being a little hateful towards the suspect. I just wanted to talk to you guys about something, to see something from a different perspective. As you guys know, I have stayed out of the news, as well as anything to do with violence or anything for probably the past year and a half. A long time ago, I didn't even exist out on the internet. No one has ever heard of me. Very few people have ever even seen my face. And, I spent a lot of time and years hiding in the dark, kind of doing things from behind the scenes. And I, as somebody who, as intelligent and kind of open-minded and neutral in a sense, tries to get out there and give my kind of 2 cents of trying to hopefully get you to see things from a different perspective. A lot of you have probably seen the video about Iryna Zarutska, of where the stabbing had happened on the tram, and all of the people that were involved did not help her. And a lot of them fled, a lot of them didn't even get up to even check if she was okay. And I wanted you to understand something about human nature, and what makes people like me, and maybe even people like you, different from those that you expect to be just like you. In everyday society, about 1,300 people are killed or murdered every year, and just around 150,000 people every day die, and 1,300 people are murdered every single day. That's about almost close to 500,000 people are murdered every single day, and around maybe 55 million people who actually die worldwide from even natural causes. People die every single day, and everybody out there sometimes just wants to make it through the next day, and I'll tell you why. In today's society, you may be viewing people as evil, or perhaps disattached, or maybe just uncaring, or just society's bad. But you have to understand that we were trained to be like this. Life is like a bowl of water, and everything we do that falls into that bowl of water creates a ripple, and it goes across the whole entire bowl, spreading to everybody else. And that's the same thing as the concept of society. Every time someone does something in society, it becomes a part of who we are. We're all like sponges. We take in everything from our environment, from the broken roads, to the incidences, to the things that we see, the things we experience, the things we hear about. It becomes part of who we are. And unfortunately, for some people out there, they just don't want anything to do with any of this. They don't want nothing to do with it. There are people out there who are like you, who are like me, that do care about people, and would have done something But you have to understand that not everybody out there is capable of doing something. When we, for example, in a lesser example, look for a job, and the employer is looking for someone to be fit for that role. Not everybody's going to fit that role. Not everybody has the same skills. Not everybody has the same personality type. Not everybody has the capability or the knowledge or the experiences to handle a situation like that. But then there are people like you and people like me who maybe never have been heard about, look like everyday people, are capable of doing something to handle a situation like that. In your mind, when you're a passenger on that subway, you're looking at your phone, you're watching a YouTube video, Instagram video, perhaps you're listening to music, because every day you're on that tram. Every single day, nothing happens. It's just a normal day. You're minding your own business, and maybe there might be an argument or two. Maybe there's just a homeless person ranting on about like weird things. Maybe it's just a small little incident. But you never expect out of nowhere for a situation where somebody pulls out a knife and not even 3 seconds to respond, stabs you 3 times in the back of the neck. No one even saw any blood up until the point that the man walked through the tram, saw that there was a blood spill. In your mind, you're probably thinking, he's bleeding. He's the one that's bleeding. But you didn't see probably the knife in his hand, because your mind doesn't pay attention to that. In your mind, you're kind of just still absorbed in your own world. A lot of people take a lot of time to even register the things that happen around them every single day. And even those who did actually directly in that situation got up and fled. And I'm gonna tell you why they fled. Every single day, we see people get hurt everywhere. Every single direction, people are dying from car crashes, from violence, from domestic violence, murder, and even natural causes. Every single day, we've become desensitized to it. Just like when we hear about politics, we become desensitized to it. We hear about somebody going through a breakup, we become desensitized to it. Everything in this world has made us desensitized because we've been overly exposed to these things. It floods our mind, our brain, our soul, and it makes us feel depressed and disattached from the whole world. And it doesn't help that every single day that something brand new happens just topples it into that fire, making you more and more numb and dead to the world. The thing is that people out there are not trained every single day to handle these situations. You cannot point fingers at them and blame them. One of those people in that situation who fled was a woman that was probably well over 300 pounds, maybe 250 pounds. Short lady, African American. What do you expect her to do? I mean, really and truly. She looked like she was probably an employee of a fast food industry, or maybe even a Walmart employee. Do you expect someone like that to really know how to take down a man that is twice her size, maybe even several feet taller than her, and could probably even hurt her? She would have probably become another victim. The same thing said for even some of the people sitting behind them. Some people just only think in their mind, I don't want to die today. I don't want to be the next person to get hurt. And that's why they ran. Somewhere deep inside, they probably feel bad about the situation, but that is most people. They don't want to be involved in these situations because they don't want to become another victim. Not every day do people know how to fight. But then there are people like me out there who have the skills to fight. And I look like your everyday person. You would never see me and expect someone like me to be that one person to step in. Society has what I call a mob mentality, because we've been suppressed so much in life to not do anything. They change a law and ban you from being able to have an abortion. They change a law and they ban you from your freedom to do something, or even live your life comfortably. And what do you do? What do you do? Maybe complain about it, but do you really do anything about it? No, because we're used to it. It's the same thing. You know, we don't have that fight in our brain anymore. We don't have that fight in our heart anymore. Sometimes all the people want to do is just go home, be back with their family, be back with their friends, and live another day to enjoy the things that they love. Even if it means that they can't be part of helping someone else in a crisis. There are people out there who are born to fight, and that's why they're in the military. That's why they're a police officer. That's why they're a detective. That's why they are a security guard. That's why they are like people like me, who are an anti-hero or a vigilante, who quietly would do something behind the scenes, because some of us out there don't have anything to lose. But to those people out there, they do have something to lose. Maybe if they did fight back in that situation of Iryna Zarutska and took down that suspect, they could have gone to jail, because then there would have probably been manslaughter or first-degree murder or intent to kill. You see what I'm getting at? People are too afraid to do something because they know the consequences. But then there are people like me who understand those consequences, but know how to do something in that situation, but I wasn't there. But there are people like me out there, just like you out there, who are capable and willing to do something. You have to look around the whole world and sometimes just understand that most people are the same. You know, they've been trained to be the same, live the same, breathe the same, dress the same, act the same way. We've been trained like this since we were children. Taught in school to behave a certain way, taught to behave a certain way in public society, taught to behave a way in workplace, you know, professionally, even on streaming. But the thing is that this is the reason why the whole world is this way that it is. You view people like, oh my God, what's wrong with people? That's not what's wrong with people. It's what's wrong with the system that has trained people born every single day, growing up every single day, to become the same as one another, the same people that you see outside your door. And there are a few people out there who have actually woken up and realized what is wrong with the world. And you wish that you can convince people, but you're just one person. You know, people have to come together in order to make a change, because one person can only do so much. And it also takes the impact of the right person with the right words and the right timing to do something, to convince people to want to take action. You know, we all wish that somebody would be a hero out there, but then when someone does go out to be the hero out there, you look at them like they're strange, or maybe you look at them like the enemy, like they're crazy, you know? Because you're not used to seeing people do that. You're not used to seeing people take that stand, take that action. That's the reason why some people don't ever do anything at all. It's because they understand that. Because they don't want to be that enemy. You know, when we look at hatred, for example, around the world, and probably a lot of these killings are hate, you know, related. Is that people, for example, when you go on a date with someone, maybe you invite a friend over to your home, what's the first thing you think about? Think about that. Will my family like them? Will my friends like them? Will they get along? You think about the things that are closest to you in your life, and you often wonder if you're going to be judged based upon the people you hang around, based upon the things that you do, maybe the things that you have interest in, you know, maybe your love interest, maybe even the friends that you pick. You're often feeling like you're going to be judged for that. And that is where mob mentality comes in. People don't want to be judged by other people and be part of that hatred, be part of that target, be part of that circle. And that's why everybody just kind of joins together and tries to be the same because they don't want anything to do with that. And when you look at society, in that situation when violence happens, it's that same exact concept. They don't want anything to do with it. They don't want to be that person who gets involved and judged for it, or even seen about it and talked about it. You know, you got to think about that. You know, every single day of my life, when I was not on live, you see my face now, and you feel the compassion, and you feel the empathy, you feel the sympathy, you feel the connection, right? Because we judge people based upon what we see, you know, what we hear. And the first impressions usually tend to be the most impactful, which is why we judge people so much for the next one, and the next one, and the next one, without even getting to know who they are. Because we're so used to seeing people like them prior to that. And so we just assume that the next person that comes around that kind of reminds you of those that you've encountered that look just like them, talk just like them, act just like them, is another bad situation, maybe a bad person, right? But the funny thing is, most bad people out there actually look just like you. Everyday people. But we choose to pick the ones that look the strangest and brand them an enemy. You know? The funny thing is that not all heroes out there, or people who are good, look just like you. Sometimes they look just like me, and sometimes they look even just like that. Because the thing is, like I told you, when you get yourself involved in these situations, you're taking the risk of your freedom to possibly go to jail, to possibly get killed, to possibly get injured, or maybe even become a target, you know? And sometimes that's the reason why people don't want to do anything, and they have to do it behind the scenes, maybe even quietly, where you never hear about them, you know? And just like even situations out there where, you know, people out there are not trained to handle situations like that. Some people behind the scenes like myself, with even training gear, know how to, you know? You know, I've invested a lot of money into these things over the years, many different things, and I could probably show you hundreds of pieces of equipment. But my point being is, don't always believe that everybody out there is bad just because they don't want to step in. It's just that society kind of has been trained to be that way, to kind of be that person who just fits in with everyone else, doesn't want to step outside of that, doesn't want to get hurt, just wants to wake up the next day and move on. But it doesn't mean that they're bad. Doesn't mean that they're a coward. Doesn't mean that they're uncaring or not guilty. It's just that you didn't have the right people there at the right time. And you can't blame those who are too afraid to step in. Because that's what people like me are for. Is that, and people even like you are for, is that you know who you are. You would have done something. Maybe people won't believe that you would have done something. Maybe they believe that you couldn't even do anything, even if you were there. But that's for you to know. That's for me to know. Don't blame people for being evil. Blame the government and the system and all of what the way society is today, of how we were trained to be that way. Blame that because they're in control of you. And they made you who you are. But it's for you to take that step outside of that zone, outside of that system, outside of that trained personality, to hopefully do something to make a positive change in this world. No matter what it is. Words, action, saving another person's life, maybe even showing kindness and compassion to those who are treated poorly or even targeted. I encourage you to get out there and do it. And to not judge people just because of previous experiences. Everybody's different. You know, if you have hatred towards a certain group of people, refugees, a certain ethnicity, I'm gonna tell you that that is maybe 1, maybe 10, maybe 100, or 1,000 out of the several 100 million of them just like that. Only about 1,000, maybe 10,000 of them are actually bad. But just because you met one of those 10,000 people doesn't mean that the other several 100 million of them are bad. You shouldn't show hatred to people like that. Show the hatred to the ones that are causing the situation to begin with. If you're going to fix something, fix it at the source. That is the way that you fix something. Not put a band-aid over it. I hope that no matter what, that you stay safe, you stay healthy, and that the people that are in your lives will stay safe and healthy. I hope that no matter what, even if you think that this situation with Iryna Zarutska didn't make an impact, it did. Because millions of people out there die every single day, and they all have a story. They all had a family. They all had friends. They all had goals. They all had wishes. They just went unheard of. This is just one of many, many, many cases. And I hope that even just if it is that one that you've heard about, that maybe just it changed you for a positive direction in your life, because now you get to see all the people who did have something to say. Now you even got to see people like me who had something to say. Maybe I taught you something that can encourage something in you, so that if you're there someday, maybe you'll know something or know how to do something. I hope that you take care. And I will see you guys in the next video.